The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
There he is. What's going on, y'all? It's your boy E Beezy in the building. What's up? It's Wednesday evening, so y'all know what time it is. It's time for Gametime Audible, where we talk about them good old sports and things with y'all. As you see, as always, I got my partner in crime here, ready to kick it as well. That dude you know is the sports guru, Hugh Lee. What's going on, Hugh?
What's good, E? Man, been some ups and downs, man, but more us for us, man, right now. E, man, it's been funny to me, man. I talked to you the weekend, and I was actually sad, man. I had to even go back to my website or to my Facebook page and apologize if I offended people because some of them Ohio State fans were salty, but we're going to get into that a little bit further in the show, too, man. Want some more people to chime in on that.
Absolutely. So that being said, we ain't gonna hold y'all up this evening. We're trying to get it in and get it in quick, fast, in a hurry. So you got my man, sports guru. He gonna elaborate on several things with me. It's gonna be a lot of quick hits today. I'm gonna tell you, boom, 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 and that's how I feel. First of all, we was gonna start out with the NBA, but actually, I saw a quick article I want to jump on in MLB. You know, we got the hot stove league
Yes,
going
sir.
on, and of course, the major player in the hot stove league this particular winter is one Aaron Judge. He's been making the rounds. Finally, the Yankees they got back to him with another offer. That offer, Hugh, is for 8 years, $300 million. Is you taking that, or should he keep rolling that dice?
I would keep rolling that dice, man, because I think right now with him, man, they should at least give him an 8 year, 375, damn near 400 million for 8 years. I think they should even shorten it, man, and say seven with an option for eight. So
I
yeah, man,
say
right now.
6 years, 50 million flat. 6 years, 50 million a season.
Because somebody's gonna outdo them and outbid them because the Yankees trying to stretch it too long, and I still don't think the dollars is adding up. Definitely after the type of year he had. Because think about it, Eve, they will have to get two, maybe three people to replace one man's production when it comes to the bat. And many times when they lost the games, it wasn't because of him. It was because poor pitching in the deeper innings, and people just wasn't hitting.
I mean, the long and short of it is this. Not only did the man hit 62 home runs, he also hit over 300. He gets on base, okay?
hmm
You ain't gonna find that anywhere. Granted, we know by the time he get 37, 38, he gonna be on that McGill tip, straight DH. So you got to keep that in mind too. But all that being said, it's other people that's willing to pay more. Now that the Yankees know that's the point where they want to pay him. It's up to the Giants and the Mets and the Dodgers to figure out how much more they want to pay him instead.
And that's all it's going to be, too. How much more they going to pay him to make him lead the Yankees? Because the Yankees trying to, I mean, I've never seen the Yankees or a team with deep pockets basically look at it like we're not going to spend for a guy who's been a Yankee, who grew up in a Yankees farm, and he elevated his game. I mean, this was the first time in a long time that I was actually happy for the Yankees, not because they were spending and they'll see a toy they like and be like, man, we're gonna lock him into a long contract, a la like a Mark Teixeira or CC and guys of that nature where they did things like that in the past, and just say, we're going to start through our farm league. Yeah, they still got chips and pieces that they grabbed. I mean, I'd be lying if I said they didn't get Rizzo or if they didn't get, Garrett or some of the other guys. You can pick and choose when you got good guys in the farm league, and you don't have to have your whole team around people that you collect in the free agency. So definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there.
That one and the one other thing that interests me, basically DeGrom is making his rounds as well, but most teams they want some type of medical report from him. You think that's fair?
Every team wanted. I seen that. I saw that and I laughed. They said, I know the Yankees and a couple other teams, they didn't say they wasn't interested in him, but they slid in like, hey, we want to see a report, man, on your health to see how you doing and where you at before we even decide to get you. Because he's probably one of the better pitchers in the league, if not the best, almost MVP every year. But that dude's health, man, it's just really been declining as of late.
That being said, would you consider what they did years ago in the Atlanta Braves organization when John Smoltz was kind of declining in health a little bit for a couple of years, and they decided to make him a closer? Could you see DeGrom being a closer?
That'd be crazy, man, because you already know what you have with Garrett, and you know what you have with Severino. Some of the other guys in that bullpen too, I feel like they should have kept, like Corey Kluber, and they should have had, at least if they still had Corey Kluber, I'd have said, yeah, that might be something they could do. But yeah, man, that could be something that could be talked amongst with them too. But he's such a good, starting pitcher, man. I don't know if they'll put him in that situation. Crazy thing is, it's not like the Yankees don't need a closer, because after what happened with their closer situation, last year, man, it was disturbing to me, man, because I didn't think Aroldis Chapman would do something like that. Even when I told you, I thought it was like, is he serious? But when he just didn't play that whole playoff, I said, yeah, man, he basically bet on himself. And he said, well, yeah, ain't no need for me to come around if I'm not going to be on the roster. If y'all telling me to come to all these mandatory meetings and do this and do that, and I'm not going to be on the team, that's not even really what purpose is that serving for me? And they didn't give him what they wanted. He said, hey, you either telling me I'm on the team or I'm going to just stay at home. They said, well, we can't tell you that, So when they said that we can't tell you that, guess what he did? He stayed in Miami.
Now understand, I talked about making DeGrom a closer. First thing this man did was put him on the Yankees. Ain't nobody said nothing about him going to the Yankees. You just
he going to the Yankees.
In that. I
ain't no doubt about it.
Question. We ain't gonna get through this show. You keep doing that, man. Stop being selfish. Let's go. All right, that's all for the baseball right now, y'all.
I see that man in pinstripes.
You said what now?
I see him in pinstripes. As soon as they said he was gonna make his rounds.
Let's move on, people. Let's move on. We moving on to the NBA, people. Let's put it plain and simple like this. We about a fourth of the season in. Here are the top teams in the East, right there in front of your face. As you see, the team with the best record in the entire NBA is one Boston Celtics, 17-4. You then got Milwaukee, 14-5, and the amazing Cleveland Cavaliers at 13-8. But did you notice who's at number 4, Hugh?
The team you always be dissing, Indiana Pacers.
When did that happen? And more importantly, how did that happen?
Sixers wasn't doing as good as we thought they would at the beginning of the year. They starting to finally win some games and put games together, okay? You have Toronto, who we didn't really have no faith in, man. They still have enough for Pascal Siakam and the Van Vliet kid. And then you can look up too, and then Miami starting to click. I've definitely been seeing them win more crucial games. They've been beating some really good teams as of late. But that Indiana Pacers team, man, it's like that was like definitely under the radar, man. They just was like the little India that could. They just basically just
pay that enough attention, Hugh, because
man, they've been man, the whole time, man. Our only one I really talk about a lot to you was Miles Turner, man, and how good of a defender he was. And that's sad, E, because we was talking about him going to the Lakers. We didn't even have no, we wasn't even having no conversation about Indiana and them being 12-8, just a game under Cleveland.
Well, keep in mind they got a decent bench over there, and that dude Halliburton. If you don't know about this guy, you might want to learn about him. He's the guard over there for the Pacers. He's playing some very good ball. He played very well against the Lakers the other night.
Yeah, man, they played pretty good, man. It was really crazy too to see that buzzer beater at the end of the game. But yeah, it was like we really don't get a chance to see them that much on TV, but it was good to see them and to see just the way they played, man, because we didn't know a lot of those guys, and I still like for them to get more TV exposure, man. That'd be something that interests me. But because we don't even look for them guys. Most times when you turn on TV, if you don't have like an NBA package or whatnot, most times who they showing on TV? The Lakers, Golden State, Phoenix, Dallas. They're gonna show Brooklyn on there. They're gonna sprinkle in New York because of the market,
Right.
So we don't really get a chance to see
doing the Bucks a lot as well. A lot of the Bucks.
Yeah. And they've been coming on strong and remarkable too, man. I've been hearing pretty soon too, they saying that Chris Middleton's supposed to be back, and they saying we might get James Harden back about time Monday game with Houston. So yeah, guys is about to start coming back to their teams and joining their teams, getting closer to the holiday season and Christmas.
And don't forget what we talked about, you and I, earlier in the week about Robert Williams returning to the Celtics. That could have major implications for a squad that's already playing lights out ball.
That's really crazy too, because you lose Ime Udoka to those allegations, and then you turn around and you get a coach that people wasn't really paying no attention to, and that was a guy that Boston was just really high on too, even though they had Udoka. They said because I think Danny Ainge Danny Ainge is familiar with him. He was trying to take him from the Boston organization. And they was like, "Nah, man, we not having that." They said, "Nah, he's staying right here, and he's staying put." I think because all that stuff went on too, and before it really escalated and got out of hand, they already had the ball moving. But he just went in, man, and just stepped in, and they playing phenomenal, man. Like it's like Coach Who.
Now that being said, since we mentioned the best teams of these, I got to mention the two worst. Of course, it's the Orlando Magic, and you see signs of life with them. Panchero definitely playing pretty good, but they still trying to work out some chemistry and that type of stuff. But the worst
and I like
too. The worst team in the league by far, our Pistons.
The Detroit Pistons.
If you had any doubt, I refer you to last night's 140-110 ass whooping by the hands of the New York Knicks, who basically, whenever they play the Pistons, just put the stomp on them every time. It like I said, that first quarter, it was competitive. From that point on, it got ugly, and in the second half, it just got embarrassing. Hugh, I asked you one simple question. Is it time for a coaching change?
It's been time for a coaching change, man. It's funny too that you say that because remember we used to always, regardless of the fact, no matter how bad of a team the Detroit Pistons were or they have assembled, it always seemed like when Coach Casey played Toronto, he always had a number. Not this year, man. Most teams who played us, man, even the mediocre teams, have been blowing us out, and it's been flat out embarrassing. So I definitely think they need to look into getting another coach. Hell, I wouldn't even lose sleep if they roll with this clown this year and end up getting Ime Udoka next year. That would be a blessing in disguise for us, man.
I put him in that mix because he offers the one thing that we desperately need: somebody that's willing to coach cohesiveness and defense. Because our defense, particularly our interior defense, atrocious. Because last night you had guards, forward, centers going straight to the hole, grabbing rebound. They made them all I know is it was ugly. You basically, if you see that game, you see Randall and JR and all of them just grabbing boards and dunking, and Man,
I seen that dunk that he did too, man, last night. That JR dunk, it was ugly, man.
Toppin,
But
you
you know,
you name it, they was going in the hole and dominating. Nonetheless, that's the East. Let's go on to the West now. In the West, Phoenix actually is tops in the West right now, followed by Denver, no surprise. The Pelicans, who I actually felt like wasn't playing quite as good, but now that Zion is back, they starting to catch it. And you see right there, you got Memphis at 4. The Clippers is the surprise on this list to me at 12 and 9. What do you
but you
say?
know why too, man. You know why? Because they just stepped up, man. You know, Paul George's gonna always play lights out, man. He has injury
When he
issues too.
played,
Hmm.
because he didn't miss several games.
But yeah, man, they over there balling too, and they center, man.
Yes, let's
The
talk
last,
about that man, Ivaka Zubac, who basically against the Pacers, who, as we learned, is not that bad a team, had an outstanding game the other night. Hit them with 31 points on 14 to 17 shooting and 29 rebounds. Obviously, the most anybody's had so far this year. What did you think of that performance, Hugh?
man, that was crazy, man. He was pissed because he said he wanted that 30-30, man. That's what his whole intentions was to get in. He wanted to join that elite company, and he was disappointed because how many was he like a basket away or something?
He was a rebound away from 30-30. If I remember
Man,
right, the last person to have 30-30, I want to say, was Dwight Howard.
and that's a crazy accomplishment. I think one of the craziest accomplishments you could do nowadays is to get like a 30 rebound, 30-point game, or something we rarely see. And it's not the triple double, it's that quadruple double, man. I haven't seen that in a long time,
It's
since
been
my man's Elijah Wan and David Robinson put those up.
right. And remember that one night when Olajuwon did it, he almost did the unheard of and had the 5 up. So I think he had like 7 or 8 steals that night. Now that being said, one team that we do not see on this West graphic,
The GSWs.
that's right, the world champs. They are like slightly behind that, but I don't know. The one thing I can tell you, because remember they played last night, they played Dallas, they played well up until the end when Curry fouled out, and they left it on your man, Mr. Thompson, to make the final shot, and he couldn't come through. Meanwhile, on the other end, Dallas basically is a one-man gang over there, and he did his thing last night. Young Luka Doncic hit him with a 40, 12, and 11. That being said, what's going on with the champs, man?
I feel like they've been resting the players too much. I've been telling you about that, man. I remember the one time when we was looking forward to seeing that really marquee matchup. It could have been a game of the week, but the Warriors fell just on that. And that game I'm talking about is when they played the Pelicans.
And
Man,
keep
they
in mind,
rest
he
Clay.
played them twice now in New Orleans and rested those guys both times in New Orleans.
How you gonna rest Clay? You gonna rest Curry? You gonna rest Draymond too? And I forgot. I don't even know if they rest Poole or not, but they rested
No,
a
they
lot of
didn't.
guys,
I
man.
think one of them two
And
times they rested Wiggins too, if I remember correct.
yep, you're right. Well, the first time they rest Wiggins. I said, come on, man, y'all doing too much resting. And I understand y'all not trying to get to the point where what they did before in the past when they got gassed out about time they played Cleveland and ended up losing that series. But you guys are resting these guys too much, man. It's just I don't understand. I know people say things that it kind of pissed me off though, because I remember I had a conversation with one of the guys on Facebook. It was a little girl crying, and she went to the game and she wanted to see Steph Curry. And man, I'm talking about when I say they travel, man, this girl came from Australia to see him play, and he was sitting out that night. He didn't start. They just said an undisclosed injury, basically saying like he might have tweaked his ankle a little bit and couldn't play or something crazy. And people were like, well, no, Hugh, man, we don't feel like they should have to play every night. The guys who did, man, their careers ended up being shorter. And I said, nah, you can't say that, man. I said, in some cases, it might have been. I said, but at the end of the day, those guys from the 80s and early 90s and even early 2000s, they were competitors, man, and they wanted to play. You know, you wasn't sitting Jordan out of a game or Isaiah or Magic, man. You wasn't doing that to them. Barkley, man, them guys would be like, hell no, I'm not sitting down, man. And
I don't even remember who it was, but they recently showed a stat of who has the current record for most consecutive games. The record at this point only like 300 some games.
that's bad.
That's like maybe 3.5 years worth. That's nothing. But
And
yeah, long story short, on the other end, it's gonna be another long season for the Houston Rockets. They not doing good at all. They slightly better than the Pistons. I give them that, but that's about it. But at any rate, that's where we at a quarter of the way through the season. You know, we definitely will update you guys as the season continues. We got Coach Will checking into the lineup this evening. What's going on, Will? What's happening?
it's good, Will.
We are now going to leave the NBA and talk a little college basketball right quick. It's that time of year where we starting to get a lot of the little tournaments and whatnot. You know, the Quest for Atlantis and the little Hawaiian tournament, all the little ones they like to do before they start the conference season. You been catching any of those games, Hugh?
I caught a few of them, man. It was some pretty good ones too. The last game that I caught, man, I don't know. I think we talked about it, but I'm not sure if we talked about it on air. But the one with Alabama, man, that game.
Yeah, you probably should have stayed there, Will. You see this weather ain't no joke right now.
Oh man, yeah, that wind cutting right now, buddy.
Yeah, go
Hope you
ahead,
had a
Hugh.
good time, though.
Go ahead, Hugh.
But yeah, man, there was a lot of stuff that went on, man, and I like the fact that a lot of these teams are not as good as we thought they'll be. Well, they are, but any team can win on any given night when they go out there now. Because we was this close to beating the team, and I think if we did, we would have been ranked. That game last night was real exciting, man, because I thought they had that game.
And you say we? Who do you mean by we, sir?
Michigan.
Yeah, basically that was the Big Ten ACC challenge, and they were facing number
Yeah.
three Virginia, and Virginia got a nice squad. I gotta give them that. Keep in mind, Michigan was actually ahead in that game for a
Oh,
good
by a
part of
lot.
the second half until they wasn't.
Oh, he said it was chilly there at night.
That's right. I know it wasn't this cold though, but like I said, Michigan got a good squad this year. I think they
They
eventually
only lost two games. That's why
they
I
only
was
lost
surprised they're not ranked.
right. That happens sooner than later, I believe. But keep in mind, I haven't seen any team that's just dominant at this point.
No.
From the few games that I have watched, to be honest, y'all, I've actually probably watched more women's college basketball than men's. You know, I have a special interest in that.
Yeah,
Because in the
I was in
early,
Purpose last night. Speaking of the women game, woo,
that's kind of
you got
surprising for
30.
Arizona,
Yeah, that's a shocker to me.
right?
Because
But
my
it's
girl,
definitely a lot more good quality women's games so far this year than men.
yeah,
Especially like we had that week before when we had number one play number two, and then of
that
course we had
was
the tournament
pretty
last
exciting.
weekend where
I was
UConn.
scared last night too, Edo, man, when South Carolina played UCLA. They was making me nervous. UCLA played them pretty good.
Well, you got to understand what happened there. The best player in the country right now is one Aaliyah Boston, as we know. She got hurt in that game, Hugh,
Yeah.
and that's how they came back because she is very key to what they're going to do in terms of
Oh
any
yeah.
championship contendership. They
Hmm.
definitely need her, and they need her as healthy as possible.
Well, we definitely know. We're gonna be talking about that, man. It's
Oh, yeah,
about to
we
get
definitely
real
will get to
ugly.
that, my friend. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely liking that Michigan squad. I'm liking that Michigan women's squad. Actually, they got a pretty good
Man,
squad
they
over
got
there.
some pretty good chicks over there,
Yeah,
man. And
the Big Ten gonna be kind of hard because you got Michigan looking good. You got Ohio State, that team down south with a decent squad for the women. Of course, you got Iowa who played UConn and gave them all they could handle for the most part. It was a good part of that game where Iowa was actually winning until they kind of clamped down at defense by UConn and they pulled it out. But that being said, it's definitely a lot more parity in both the men's and the women's game this year. And I'm really looking forward once we, kind of concentrate a little bit less on football to see how that plays out.
Yeah, as soon as football's starting to die down, man, it's going to be more heavy doses of the basketball. And what I like about it too, now, like you said, big ups to the bigger networks like Fox, ABC for playing like the women basketball as well. It used to be heavy men's basketball on channel 62, but there's been a lot of just games, man, going around now. And it's pretty cool because we don't have the college football, man, they just put a lot of good games in the college, like big games and marquee matchups. And I'm definitely looking forward to it this year.
Right, and then of course with all the extra sports channels that we got now, you get a lot
Oh
more
yeah,
women's games as well. I mean, you got the Sports Network, you got FS1, you got SNY that shows all the UConn games, and basically I think the SEC network they show a lot of women's games as well. So I think if you are a fan of women's college basketball, you definitely will get to see a variety of more teams as weeks and months go on, which is cool. But I would definitely say we got to go back to the one subject that we have to deal with right now because it's what the world is watching. While we're sitting here watching our usual sports, the world they deep into this World Cup thing, and it's
man.
crazy.
I thought you.
I was out and about today, right? And I drove
Mhm.
past one bar, and when I tell you the place was packed the other day for the United States Iran game, it was people literally pouring out of the doors. I was like, am I missing something here? But I'm telling you, they was in that boy like it was the Super Bowl.
Man, when I be in my physical therapy, man, it'd be funny too. Because most times, right now, I told you, you see when we was coming into that mug and we was in that parking lot, I looked up and I seen that TV and I seen how they was glued to it. I was like, man, they ain't gonna be paying me no attention that much today, man, because you got a guy from Argentina, Mexico, and you got a young lady from Poland. So yeah, they be glued to that TV, man. And yeah, it's pretty exciting to know that they're interested like that. But yeah,
That
I
being
kind of
said,
take a peek at.
there was
Mhm.
4 games today, right? Do you know how many points were scored by all the teams put together?
How many?
7.
See, I can't do that. The one game I could say that when we was watching, it was Senegal, and I forgot who they were playing. That game, it was like I think 2 to or 3-2 or something like that. But I was surprised, man. Like I just so happened to look and say, man, that's my first time ever seeing a goal watching this. So yeah,
Right. And then
sometimes,
y'all got to
man,
remember, these
never.
are the opening rounds. We get into the knockoff rounds starting this weekend. So if they only scoring 2 and 1 point at a time now, these knockout rounds, we might get a lot of this running back and forth.
And it was just like I couldn't handle it, man. I said, man, it ain't too much scoring for me, man. And that's why I think now we starting to figure out on our own from trying to, have open minds and to check it out. That it's not because we're not interested. It's because, yeah, it is because we're not interested and they don't score enough for us to keep us entertained.
Right. And I know a lot of people say, well, baseball boring. I'm sorry. Them two things do not compare. They do not. I can sit and watch a whole baseball game, me being me. I can't watch no whole soccer game, y'all. I can't do it.
Especially
I
when they
can
get
hit
to the
my
playoff,
gavel.
they be home run fly out the park in playoff time, man. And it be the atmosphere is so different. Like when Philly played the Astros, man, it was so many home
But
runs.
see, that's the thing, I can't blame the atmosphere because some of them games in the World Cup, they've been off the chain. That
No,
Senegal game, the
yeah,
crowd was high. Understand, this in Qatar. Senegal way the hell over there. But they fans traveled well and they was into it. It's not the issue of the fandom at all. I just sit and watch some premier games and bits and pieces. Your typical English soccer league. It be off the chain in that boy. It's just some, as an American, I just don't get it.
And that's the thing too, E, because of the fact is you see them in the crowds and them being excited and enjoying it and having a good time. But when you try to put it over here and try to get it to be as popular as it is as football or basketball and baseball and some of our main sports over here, I don't think, like we said, man, it's not enough scoring to keep us occupied, man. Because I know people be like, baseball is boring, but we could sit up and we could watch a baseball game because we know we're gonna see some home runs hit. But in soccer, sometimes the score be 0-0, man, or you might get a 1-0 game, but you barely see enough scoring, and that's the problem, man. And I
Right.
understand that's good defense. I don't know, man. I don't want to see defense all the time, man. I want to see some offensive, output as well.
Right. Because that being said, even if America manages to somehow win this thing, I don't know if it changes how soccer gets viewed and dealt with here in this country.
I think this more or less hurt it than help it right now. E, do you agree?
I would have to say so. But that being said, we'll keep y'all posted. We trying to be open minded about the whole thing, but
Open
just
minded,
as
that's
a
the word, boy.
sports fan in general, not so much. Now, I got one more story I want to throw in the mix, and then of course we got to get to the meat of the show. That being
The
a good
rival,
football session, because we got a lot of football to talk about this evening. But let's
them
talk about
rivalries, boy.
a little golf right now, sir.
Okay.
As you know, this week Tiger Woods is supposed to return to play golf and the Heroes Classic. He announced Tuesday that it's not going to happen. He's not
Mm.
able to play. Bottom line is part of the situation is the fact that that leg is still, well, basically that leg is never going to be 100% again, as Tiger will tell you.
He
But
need that rest.
it all depends on his ability to walk the course. Even though they've offered him an exemption to, use a cart if he wanted to, him being Tiger Woods and all, he refuses to do that. He basically says if he can't play it the way everybody else do, he'd rather not play. So that being said, he said he basically is not in physical shape to do so. As you know, it's colder now. And if you have any type of issue with your legs, particularly when they're operated or arthritis, or just the fact that he's damn near 50, I think all those things come into play. I think in the end we still get Tiger Woods for these next few years, but we just ain't gonna see him play as much. He just ain't gonna be up to.
I understand that too, man, because I can respect that too. Just the fact that he's saying, "Look, man, I don't want to be privileged or have any special privileges amongst anyone else, man. If I can't do it on my own, then I don't want to do it." And that's a respectful thing to do because some people might open up their mouth and have something to say about that. And I'm just saying, E, you already know how it is. They'll be like, "Well, why do I have to walk when Tiger using one of the golf buggies? What makes him better than
And
me?"
my answer to that is one, you're not Tiger Woods. Two, whatever golf buggy that is, that's another endorsement right there. Truth be told. And three, you're not Tiger Woods. Okay.
Mhm.
I know you can't sit here and be like, well, that's not fair. If Tiger can't, until you become Tiger Woods or anything close to that, you don't have nothing to say on the subject. And I did say I had one more thing. I do actually have one more thing. We're gonna talk something we rarely talk on the show. Little hockey. Y'all remember this dude right here? You know who that is, right, Hugh?
Yeah, man, I want them to win another title, man, so people won't think it was a fluke. My man,
That
Ovechkin.
would be the great eight himself, Alex Ovechkin, who just broke one of the records of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, hockey player in the history of the NHL. That would be the great one himself, Gretzky. As last night he scored 2 goals and now has the most away goals of any player ever. What do you think of that record, Hugh?
That's big, man, because definitely anytime you pass up Wayne, that's huge. But to pass up Gretzky and to be as good as Alec Ovechkin is, man. Because I remember before, man, when I set up and I was forced to watch some games before, that everybody was telling me how great Sidney Crosby was. But then that's when somebody told me, and that whisper in my ear, you need to check out this kid from the Capitals, Alex Ovechkin. And when I seen him play, man, because for most times, even though I'm not really a hockey fan like that, but you already know one of the bigger games is advertised that I even considered that going ahead and nodding and turning the channel and looking at was the game that usually come on New Year's when they be outside in the snow on ice. Man, that is so innovative. And
I love when they do that.
when I first heard that idea, I was like, man, that's a little different. And every year is exciting, man. So yeah, it's really good not only to get back to the topic to see him break a record like that, but to see how well he's still playing. And I definitely would like for him to just win just one more championship, man, to cement his legacy. And I think just because he won that one, that's possibly good enough. But two will put him up there with the all-time greats.
Bottom line, he's one of the top 20 players of all time if he quit tomorrow. First of all, he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Fame. That's not even an issue. Remember, he is the second leading goal scorer of all time. Only person he has to pass now is the great one himself. So, all
He
that being
trying
said,
to his
I'm glad he's still playing well at that advanced age of 37, and I hope he keep it going. That being said, people, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break. When we come back, it's time to switch it on over. We're going to put my man's in the big boy seat. And, of course, it's time for another episode of the Guru's Football Session, where there's quite a bit of football to talk about this week. So looking forward to see what he got on deck with that. But in the meanwhile, we got to talk about his other pet project that you guys should be familiar with. Oh, wait. No, before we do that, we do got one piece of unfinished business. You know, I gotta go there, man. You already know what time it is, right? Free Brittany Griner, the fuck! That being said, they've talked about it a little bit this week, the fact that she's in that darn uh crazy camp, and both of those camps that they have been having her go back and forth to, they're not heated well. The living conditions are atrocious. They're having a terrible time trying to stay in contact with her because of that. And they're concerned about her health and her well-being because part of the reason why she was taking the CBD oils and what have you was to help with this issue she had with chronic pain. And we've actually learned in recent days that the medicine in question was actually medically issued by a doctor. Now I know some people say, well, yeah, anybody get that medical card for the marijuana stuff, but they said it was because of chronic pain. And as you know, many of the athletes would prefer that weed be legalized because it helps them deal with the pain in a way where they're not overly groggy or dealing with side effects that a lot of these other pain medications give them. So, with that information being said, send Brittany home. That would be the best Christmas present ever for her family. See it in your cold little heart, Mr. Putin, and send that woman happy. Okay, now we can move on. All right, like I said, we got to talk about Hugh's other project here on the commercial break. And when we come back, it's on to the Guru's football session. Here you go. Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game sports blog with the sports guru, Hugh D. Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it. Yepper. Just like that, we are back, good people. Y'all know what it is. Gametime Audible, your boy E-Buck, and that dude Hugh, the sports guru. And of course, as y'all know, it's time to talk football. So we gonna switch my mans to the big boy seat. Whoop, there it is. And it's time for him to take over the show with his Guru football session. What you got for us this week, bro?
And it was crazy this week, man. I was just, and I know I want you to go back to the last show, and I was disrespected, and I spit on this rivalry week on some of these games, man. And
I tried to tell you, bro.
I was so surprised, man. This was one of the craziest rivalries I've seen in a while because I thought it was some of the football, yeah, and then I should have known better that it's not. It's definitely a lot of parity this year too because with the teams being said, man, a lot of these teams who got upset, I didn't think it was in the making, and it really made for great football, man. Because I'm not even trying to, say anything, but because I know people probably like, yeah, you all in because Alabama might have a chance. Even if they didn't have a chance this year, I'm still happy the way things went
And
because
I
I
told you
didn't
that was
really
gonna
care.
happen too, did I not?
What's that?
That Alabama was
Saying I
still
didn't
gonna have
care that if they didn't get in?
no, I said that they still was gonna have a chance to get in this thing, you. I
They
told you,
they
man.
do. But if they didn't, man, I still am happy the way this season went out because this was a really crazy year in football in general, especially in college. Because the first game that popped off, man, after chilling with the family, laughing, enjoying the kids, and man, that Mississippi State Ole Miss, man. Remember what I told you that game at first? I said, man, I think this is gonna probably be an easy one. But I was wrong. That upset came, man, and they won 24-22. And it was just really to the point where I think, too, E, and I'm not even really going to get off into it that much. I'm going to just say what I'm about to say and give it to you afterwards. I believe Delane Kiffin basically wanted to troll and do more, and he focused his whole year on playing Coach Nick Saban, that he wasn't focused on the prize in hand. And that's when they started to slip up and started to lose a whole bunch of games, man. They lost a lot of games just because I just don't feel like they were well prepared, man. And they was preparing for the big showdown with Nick Saban, and they didn't concentrate on the other teams was ahead of them.
You gotta remember what's important for all parties involved. Mississippi State, they had a decent season, but I think they keyed in on this game. When you have your rival, just like they talk about Michigan State all day here, they do the same things in other states in regards to their rival game. So, usually the team that's not being focused upon, which in this case Mississippi State, they tend to have a greater stake into what goes on. So I think, like you said, Ole Miss didn't come prepared. They was looking ahead. They was thinking about next year. They was doing all this other stuff. Mississippi State went in that game thinking we beat Mississippi. It's on. That's why they pulled it out. And there's several other games like that. Take for example, North Carolina State, North Carolina, where they
Glad
pulled
you
off.
mentioned that, D, because you said you called an upset on that one. You definitely said that you think North Carolina State can get them.
I did, and indeed, that's exactly what happened. But see, the thing was that ended up not only being a good game, but probably the best game of that entire weekend because it went double
Agree.
overtime. And it
Agree.
was a thrilling win at the end. But yeah, it was several games like that during rivalry week. And like I said, that
Mm-hmm.
Florida State game was a good game.
It
I like
was.
it.
That UCLA California game was better than what I thought it was going to be because I thought that was going to be a runaway. I did not so much with the Georgia Tech game though. E.
Well, basically, we kind of figured that that wasn't going to be quite as interesting. I mean, in the end, Georgia Tech is pretty much a one-trick pony. You figure out that whole running style with the whole wishbone and all that. You shut that down. You shut them down.
One guy I want to talk to you about too, E man. And he's been making strides, man. Not only did they win, but they basically got Clemson to where they knocked off Clemson. And I don't think Clemson would be even in the conversation. And we talked about this too. I thought that DJ Uliungalale was actually going to be one of those guys that fill in real good for Trevor Lawrence, but he never did live up to those expectations. And I think that was a lot of pressure on that kid. But Spence Rattler, man, he been winning some big games. And when you say he won a big game, he beat a few good teams, man. And it just seems like he got that ice in his veins, and he's not intimidated, man. He'll go and play any team that you put in front of him, and most times he come out on top. So yeah, I definitely had to give them a lot of props in that game for beating,
Well,
because they're
I find it interesting you bring up one Spencer Rattler. Remember, at one point in time, he was the number one recruited quarterback in the country. You know, he spent that time in Oklahoma. You know what
Mhm.
happened there. And then, of course, he
Yeah.
came to South Carolina for a new start. He made out good. Do you know? According to some of the talking heads, he's already put himself in the transfer portal yet again, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
looking at possibly coming to Nebraska, of all places,
Mm,
play quarterback. Wouldn't that be interesting?
definitely, man, because they got the new coach and everything over there, you know.
Right.
So
Speaking of transfer portal, you know, we had this conversation earlier in the week about one Cade McNamara, the former quarterback for Michigan, who has basically entered the portal. And a lot of people think that he's going to go back to the school he originally signed with, which is University of Iowa. But there's also possibility that he may go to Notre Dame. Is another name that's
mm,
been thrown in the mix. What do
okay,
you
I can see that.
think?
You know what's
By the way,
crazy
I
about
see him going to a team that's going to end up playing Michigan next year. I think he definitely got something he wants to prove to them.
yeah, that was your cousin hyping up Luca. But yeah, you know, we got to mess with you too, man, because you said what type of team is he working with over there, man? He got a nice little deep squad over there, though, man.
Yeah, like I said, Luca definitely had a good game that night. But again, you know, it's
He
going
ain't
to
gonna be
take
able to do that all season,
there.
though.
I definitely would give him early props for MVP vote because I really think it's going to take him doing most of the heavy lifting in order for them to get anywhere in terms of the NBA. Because right now, I don't see he makes them better. I mean, because remember, you always had that argument with us and Pride about whether or not that team needs a point guard. And I usually argue the fact that he is the point guard. That's why they don't need one.
But they got to put a lot. They got to definitely get to the point where, you know, he remind me of, and I don't even mean to switch to football as far as the NFL right now, but he definitely reminds me of a Josh Allen type where he puts too much on himself. And that can make or break you at one point. And I just think that if Luca can, yeah, but you know what though, man? I don't know what all Kevin got left in the tank. I might be wrong, bro. But if I'm wrong, I definitely want you to call it
And
out and
that's something
definitely
I
talk
actually
about
didn't
Big
know,
Joe.
Jordan. You put me up on something. They get Kimball Walker over there. That might actually be an interesting move on the part of the
That
Mavs.
might help out a little bit to take a little bit of that weight off of him, man, as far as trying to do too much. But at the same time, he got to realize that he have other talent over there, man. That's why Jalen Brunson went to New York, man, because he felt it's like you can't have Luca doing everything while everybody just sitting around, man. So I definitely feel like that'll take a little bit more pressure off of him. But man, we got to see what Kemba has still, man, because he's been getting passed around too much, man. He's been getting passed around like a blunt, man. And to say
Okay, well,
at least,
speaking of
um,
Brunson, who you think got the biggest buyer's remorse right now? Brunson going to the Knicks or Devontae going to the Raiders?
whew, I'm gonna go let Devontae Raiders, man, because they really because you know we looked at that and we saw that whole hookup and we thought like, man, this can possibly work. And we looked at them like, man, we thought one of them teams in that division will give Patrick Mahomes them a run for their money, or be a runner up to be able to try to make it from a wild card perspective and go to like a Super Bowl, or like more or less not even trying to throw them in that Super Bowl picture, but like at least meeting them closer in like a conference or the championship round. So yeah, man, we had a lot of high expectations on the Raiders, and like I said before, man, and I'm not constantly trying to throw Josh McDaniels under the bus, but sometimes when you do things and have like such complicated offenses, man, you outsmart yourself, because I just feel like that's hard to do with a team, man. Put what works in there. Sprinkle some of their strengths in there. What you like, man, what you don't like type of ordeal to help them build. But I just felt like this was a really wasted year for them, man. So yeah, that buyer remorse definitely goes to the number one Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay, that being said, yeah, Randall is the man in New York. He definitely was last night. He put a whooping
Yeah.
on them Pistons, boy. They
And
couldn't stop him in the post.
I want to get away from that audible right now too, Ian. Answer your question, man. I feel like my man's McNamara in his situation, we knew that he was going to leave. We looked at it and we even had a conversation and talked about if we had a struggle from McCarthy, that it was still a chance for him. But not only did McCarthy prove that he belonged, because at first I had a few words from McCarthy. The one year we thought that we were close to beating those guys too, and he made that mistake. But he made several mistakes. But I really thought that man, let's see how he play. I said he's going to have the game of his life to beat Ohio State, and man, that's their guy, man. Regardless, when he won that game, we knew that that was their guy because he had the game of his career. And McNamara knew that. And that's when we talked about that too. I wasn't even up good out of bed yet when you sent me that message, and I laughed. And I said, you know what? We talked about that for the longest. If he shined this game, the game, it was going to be trouble in paradise for McCarthy. And I just feel like with McNamara, man, maybe that's what's best for him, man, because he might still have a chance to get a good high round draft pick if he can shine. Do I think so? Probably not. But I still feel like it's his chance, man. That's what the portal's for, man, because he done in Michigan.
I think McNamara is going to be a very good quarterback in the USFL. I don't care what school he go to, Hugh. That man is not an NFL quarterback at 6 feet with half an arm and very little scramblability. I can't see it. Now,
And that was
McCarthy,
the problem.
I think another good season at Michigan, he definitely can find himself in the third or fourth round of the NFL draft. He has the capability to play the type of game that it takes now to be an NFL quarterback, where you basically have to have a strong arm, make some good decisions, and be able to scramble out of the pocket and do things like that.
Yeah,
But
because there ain't a
again,
lot of Drew Brees out there, E.
you said what now?
Because it ain't a lot of Drew Brees out there, man. Because he was 6 feet, and I'm like, man, he was under my radar. I said, man, what this guy gonna do in the NFL? And we already know what this dude did, man. But I just don't know if McNamara can do that, man. I think the best thing for him right now is to try to get him a good quarterback person, get him a good instructor, and someone who can help him teach him his fundamentals, and try to get a little bit more arm strength.
And
Sometimes,
speaking of instructor, can I please talk about one Jim Harbaugh for a minute?
okay,
Remember all them years when y'all was on Harbaugh's head, when y'all had him in the hottest of hot seats at Michigan? He can't win the big one. He can't beat his rivals. Yeah, he wins, but they don't go nowhere. How you like him now? Can you put
back
some
to back
respect
years.
on Jim Harbaugh's name, please? He has won
And then to
everywhere he has been. He has won at Stanford. He has won in San Francisco. He is winning here. All coaches don't have it like that. Understand that. Everybody not gonna be Nick Saban, mind you, but everybody can't be Jim Harbaugh either.
yeah, agree. Because
You got to give that man some respect for what he has accomplished, particularly in these last two seasons at Michigan, where it looks like they again will go to back-to-back championship round.
what I like what he did this year too was the fact that he basically had in his head the way he was going to run his offense, and he stuck to the guns. At one point, people looked at him and said that he'll try to run the ball down your throat, and if he can't do it, he'll try to pass the ball so many times. And he just stuck to his structure. They tried to take them off their game with the run game in Ohio State, and they just kept grounding and pounding, man. And I think this was the most they ever ran the ball down their throats this year. And it got ugly because at one point, man, when they were up 31-20, I was like, I'm scared to go to the kitchen, man. I wanted to grab me some water, and as soon as I turned that corner, man, my man's hit another like Edwards hit like a 75 yarder, and I was like, yeah, that's the game right there. But then they got an interception and then ran it back again. So he did a 75-yarder and an 80-yarder when everybody was scared because they felt like if Blake Corum don't play, then it might be a problem with the run game. But they didn't miss a beat.
I mean, because think about it. You know, Purdue being said, they'll pretty much deal with that. We get to the playoffs. At that point, if we got a healthy Corum and a healthy Edwards, plus what we done learned about the passing game of Michigan, and I don't even think we fully even explored what that could be at this point. I still think they got some plays they didn't put aside for when they get to the championship round. It's going to be real interesting for Michigan. I think, like I said, with the exception of maybe Georgia, this might be it. I can see them get to the championship round at least.
Because you know what's crazy, E-Man, as much as people hyping up Georgia, and I want to even get off into that if you people don't even know what I'm talking about because you don't. Most times, you know, E, I know you be against me doing the crying Jordans. I know I do it, and you know that's the tradition.
Man,
that's my
let me tell you something about the crying Jordans. And for anybody out there in the audience, that's what that man do, okay? I myself, it's not that I'm against it. I just don't get it. It just don't do nothing for me personally. But in the end, I don't care. You do it with my team, against my team. I told you, when I see you do all that, I just keep scrolling. It ain't that I hate you. You know you my man.
But E, I want to just say something before you get too in depth into it, man. You know, I just wanted to say, when my teams lose, I do it against them too. Have I ever showed any favoritism?
You've been very consistent throughout. Whoever loses, they get the crying Jordan. Like I said, me myself, I don't care. I could care less. But some of y'all deep in y'all feelings about that thing. When he showed me,
I don't know. Ohio State people are salty, man.
I don't know why you let them things affect your life like that.
I couldn't believe how salty some people was this weekend, man.
Real salty. It was crazy.
But they kept that energy. I wanted them to keep that energy all those times when Michigan was losing and I was forced to do those crying Jordans then. These last two back-to-back years, man, it's been a bunch of whining, bro. But that being said, if I was Michigan, I wouldn't really be afraid of Georgia, man. They had a lot of hiccups this year, man. They're not that same Georgia team. And if Michigan could just play their game and stick to their game like they did against Ohio State, because at one point, I said it, E. I said, I think Ohio State is the best team right now, the way they were playing. But then that's when you hit me with, Hugh, look at all the people who they played and all the teams they played, man. They only played really two good teams, you know, at the beginning of the year. Then I looked up.
Down this year, Hugh, plain and simple.
I see Notre Dame, and Notre Dame just really start to get their identity. Am I right?
True.
I would like for them to play Notre Dame now because this Notre Dame team is much better than what they were the regular season.
I don't think that might not happen. Remember, they're going to set up bowl season. I definitely would like to see that matchup in a bowl game.
And then when they played Oregon, Oregon are who we thought they were, man. They're a good team when it comes to some of the fancy stuff that they do, but they still don't appeal to me because of one reason. And you know that reason, I seen him when he was in the SEC until now, and I'm still not impressed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he can prove me right when he comes to the
NFL. Is their alternative uniforms. They probably got the best alternative uniform game in the country. Speaking of which, if you notice in the NBA, they've been doing a lot of these alternative jerseys.
Man, I seen ours, man. I seen the green one we had, and I'm like, man, what is they doing?
Jersey. I know it's supposed to do the Central thing. Don't get you tripping, y'all. But
you know how I like burners, E. And you know how I like burners, man. You know, and I couldn't do it. You know, I don't like the Miami Vice ones. I think those suck. It's a lot of them I see that I don't like.
They have the worst in the league by far. The only one that I saw that I liked recently was the peach Atlanta jerseys. Now those I kind of like. Them was kind of cool.
And I ain't see those. I'm gonna have to check those out. Because I used to like the old school ones, with the Pac-Man on it. I thought those was all right.
But yeah, man. Them was pretty sweet. But no, in general, y'all, y'all can stop that.
I want to get over to like do some NFL right quick, man.
Absolutely.
I
But
wanted
no,
to
hold
hit
on.
you.
Before we move on, though, we definitely got to talk about championship weekend here right quick with the NCAA. Right now, y'all know
You
the
know what?
four teams.
You're right.
You got Georgia at 1. You got my team Michigan at 2. You got TCU at 3. You got USC at 4. Then on the outside looking in, you got Ohio State at 5 and good old Bama at 6. How you see it playing out, Hugh?
Man, I see it playing out like, man, I'm scared with this Utah game though, because remember we saw that game, man. I'm not sleeping on that quarterback over there in Utah because at first they was whooping Utah's ass, and you know this. But I was like, man, I said this. Why am I even watching this game? So I think we both turned it off and went to bed. And when we woke up, what happened? Cameron Rising, man. I don't know what it is about this kid, man, but he's a winner. That game right there is a trap game. I don't care what nobody say. They got it at 2.5, but I can easily see Utah making a win or making a game out of this and pulling it off.
That being said, I don't think Utah wins because it's bigger stakes. And the big stakes is that if Caleb Williams wins this game, the Heisman is his. It may be his even without winning this game. But I think he needs to win this game to definitely win the Heisman. So I think he's going to be more motivated to win it, not to mention the fact that because they have the better coach, I feel, and this is their second time playing, I think they'll have a heads up as to what to expect. I think they will take them more seriously this time around.
They will have to because
But
that
the only
Utah
game out of those 4 that I'm concerned about is, of course, that TCU Kansas State game because Kansas State is definitely better than what you may think.
and who they got over there, that quarterback.
Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn, that dude gonna be a force in the NFL.
Who else did they got? They got that damn Adrian Martinez. But Vaughn, man, I want to see where he go, man. Because I had my eye on that kid, man. No disrespect to Swift, but that dude's always hurt, man. And I don't know, man, because it's looking at it like Jamal Williams, man, he's in for a huge money day.
Yep, and like I said, if we looking to get into the running back business again, I definitely say you look into not only Blake Corn, but you want to look into this kid, Deuce Vaughn, and definitely the running back out of Texas. I like that dude a lot too, Mr. Robinson.
Oh, yeah, that dude's a speedster, I like him a lot. Yeah, that dude got mad speed.
I definitely looking for us to have kind of a big, small back kind of thunder lightning type thing going.
Is his name John Robinson or something like that?
John Robinson, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about the next game, E?
Here's how I think it plays out. Basically, we already know. Georgia, whether they win or lose, they in no matter what. That's a gift. Michigan, if they lose, it would have to be how they lost. If they basically lose by a touchdown, I still say they in. But needless to say, if both of them win, they in. They 1-2. It's like that. TCU, I say not only do they need to win, but they need to be convincing. Because granted, they are undefeated. But I said if they only beat Kansas State by 3, I don't know if I still would put them in, even if they would be undefeated. I understand what type of precedent that would set, but they strength of schedule and the fact they over there in the Big 12. You know how I feel about the Big 12. Ain't no kind of defense being played over there most weeks. We know that. I pretty much feel like whoever they play in the playoffs gonna beat up on them anyway. And then of course USC, they the X factor. Because if in the end, let's just say TCU and USC lose, now all hell breaks loose. And I definitely see a scenario at that point where you don't automatically put Ohio State in at 5. I see Alabama leapfrogging over them and getting in over Ohio State because of the fact they played in the hardest conference in America, and the 2 losses they had was by less than 5 in the last minutes to 2 teams that's still in the top 10.
Yeah, because that can get wacky if that happened, man. USC falling, which I think they'll be a little bit more alert and they'll be having vengeance on their minds right now because You know they got that in their head because that loss basically messed up their guarantee. And
Mm.
another loss for them is just like out of the question because they will not be in the playoffs if that possibly happens. But yeah, man, TCU definitely have to win, but they can't sleep on Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn, man. That's gonna be easier said than done.
Absolutely. They got a couple decent receivers on that Kansas City State squad too. So
The big
do
dudes too,
well
they
for
some
them
tall
there.
dudes.
Absolutely.
What about LSU Georgia? Georgia should win.
Definitely, I don't see Georgia losing that game. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as some people are putting it out there. LSU, as you see, they'll give you a scrappy game, and that's definitely good for their recruiting to at least play Georgia close. But that being said, I don't think Georgia takes them for a joke. I say they win it. I say they win by about 10. I
Yeah,
think
because they
they
got
probably win a
because
little bit
they
more convincingly. But that being said, Georgia will still be one, and Michigan will still be two, regardless, because of the fact, as we know, in the last playoff last year, Georgia whooped up on Michigan pretty handy. And I actually would prefer that Michigan stay at two, because I think they got a better chance of making the final if they did, especially if we play TCU. But I think we'll whoop them pretty good.
UCF and Tulane, man. That's one I'm not really looking forward to looking at, honestly.
In terms of that championship game, Tulane actually was a little better than I thought they was going to be when they played the other night. But they'll probably make it to a decent bowl game. But in the end, don't care. At this
And
point
this
in the season, if it ain't one of the teams in the top 10, I don't too much give a damn. The
and
rest
this
of
is
them
a
will
game.
see when they play the bowl games.
The last game I don't care about neither with North Carolina and Clemson. We could definitely pass that game if you want to and go to the pros this week and
Yeah, we can
pick and
move on.
choose who we're gonna get. You want to
If
do the pick 'em
I
for
gotta
this
have,
week in
I
the
gotta
East
have
West?
a choice. I'll go with Clemson, but it'll be close. Let's move on.
Okay. All right, man. So you already know what we got in store tomorrow. Bills and the Patriots. They got the Bills by 3.5.
Ooh. This has been the worst slate of Thursday night games ever. I really wish they consider, much like they're doing. Well, I think it's a little harder to do because it's Thursday game, but the whole flex schedule, how they starting to do that at the end of the season. Because keep in mind, the night game this week, I believe, initially was supposed to be the Chiefs versus the Broncos. They already swapped that one out because ain't nobody trying to see the Chiefs just whoop up on the Broncos. We've been
Not at
telling
all.
you this week. But yeah, I'm not caring about that game. I think the only thing that might make that interesting is if Josh Allen's still a little hurt, or if the weather is kind of iffy up there in New England. Beyond that, that should be a relatively easy win for Buffalo.
Okay. They got them by 3.5. I actually got them by like a touchdown.
Take the
I'm gonna go with
points and take the Buffalo.
I'm definitely going with Buffalo because no disrespect to New England. I'm a fan of them. I do like their defense and some of the offensive guys are good. I like to see Ramondre Stevenson how he run the ball, but Damian Harris out hurt. And make the long story short, we talked about this before. I talked about how bad the whole situation was when Josh McDaniels left, and that messed up the growth of Mac Jones because Mac Jones is not playing good at all this year, honestly. And if
I'm
he's
gonna
not playing
say
good this game,
out of here
they're gonna be.
early. I want to see Zappy.
Yep, they waiting for that. This one right here, man, this is crazy. The 2 4 and 17s, Jaguars and Lions. We're at home, and the Jaguars are favored by 1 point in this one because I guess because they beat the Ravens.
Hmm. I think it's gonna be a good game. I really do. Both of these teams, they a little bit better than we thought they'd be this time of year. Granted, the records don't really indicate that as much. But a couple interesting things is one, I definitely would like to get a better view of Trevor Lawrence. I haven't seen him play much this year outside of the highlights and whatnot. So I kind of want to see what his game management is like. Um, I do believe Etienne got hurt last week, so if he's not
Yeah,
playing, I definitely want to give the nod to the Lions on that one, considering Swift and Williams should still be okay to play. And keep in mind, we learned today in the press conference, or yesterday, that there is a possibility that Jameson Williams might make an appearance this week, which
sir.
would be
It's definitely
very
a
interesting.
possibility in the making.
I would love to see him get in for a few plays and see if he can do a little something, something.
Yeah, kind of bring them along like they did with Shark, you know.
And hopefully Shark will be a little bit better this week as well. They say Reynolds should be back, so that definitely will help. Because you know they have a good connection, him and Jared Goff.
A lot of injuries this year, man, with their receiving core, but then they still been making the best out of it. So, yeah, I definitely want to see that game because Trevor Lawrence showed poise, and that was his best game of his NFL career. And that was a special game because Doug Peterson always had the guts and grit to where he would not just settle and try to just take it in overtime. He said, man, we want to go home. I guess he was like, man, he wanted to get home. And he wanted to relax and enjoy the rest of that day. And I'm pulling it off, man. It's like when you lose, if you don't make the 2 points, man, people will say you're terrible. But when you make it, you're a genius. And luckily, he didn't have to focus on the output of if he wouldn't have made that 2 point conversion.
Well, keep in mind, you know, he is the guru of the 2 point conversion. I guess the man that constantly goes for it on fourth down. So some got to give in that game.
You ain't lying, because that's two teams that love that type of style of play.
Absolutely.
Here go a funky game right here. Pittsburgh with against the Atlanta Falcons, and it's in Atlanta, but they have the Steelers by 1 point favor right now. Who do you have in this one?
I don't care. I don't care. And neither one of them teams going nowhere. Nobody cares. It's that time of year
Okay.
now. We ain't got time for the also ring.
Packers and Bears.
Now that's gonna be interesting for a couple reasons. One, are we gonna get either one of the starting quarterbacks playing this week? Remember,
Mm-hmm.
we still got on Chicago's end their quarterback banged up with some injuries that probably need a few weeks to heal, not just a few days. So at this point in the season, considering their record, do you trot him out there or do you just go ahead and let Trevor Simeon play it out? And then on the other end, we know Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Aaron Rodgers, he's a warrior and all of that. So I believe if you leave it up to him, he's playing. But should he be
Yeah,
playing? We already know the thumb is busted. The thumb is
that's what
done
they.
until whenever he has the surgery on it. And then, of course, now we got the bruised up ribs and whatnot. The Bears defense ain't nearly what it was, so that ain't a big issue. And then, of course, the fact that, as he will tell you, I own the Bears. So I'm thinking if he is relatively healthy, he'll probably play. And if that's the case, whether Fields plays or not, they'll probably win. I'm going Green
Here
Bay.
go another good one. The Jets and the Vikings. The Vikings are at home and they're only favored by 3 points.
I want to dismiss that game, but I can't. I really want to see if Mike White keeps it going. Because I think this game is the key as to whether or not he finishes up the job for the rest of the season. If basically he has another good game like he had last week, I don't see Wilson coming back. And when I say I don't see him come back, I'm talking about I don't see him coming back, period. I think it's his job for good at that point, Mike White. And then you go ahead and draft somebody in that second or third round to take over for Wilson, and you cut your losses with him, keeping in mind that you ain't had to pay him no big money yet because, you know, it's on his second season.
Yeah, I think they'll have a trade or something to go on in the year of a quarterback
And of
ET.
course, on the other end, I definitely want to see if Jefferson keeps the roll going right now because, of course, with Cooper Kupp out, I would definitely say he is the best receiver in football right now.
You know what, E? I'm gonna put a little bit more spice to this one, man, too, because I know you're looking at it from the standpoint of Mike White, and I could respect that because I definitely want to see what he do in this game. Kirk Cousins is to the point where we like, okay, we're looking and we're definitely constantly looking and seeing if he's going to make that big mistake. But the matchup that we're not even really paying attention to and put more emphasis on, man, right now, we should definitely put that to the forefront.
I know where he
You
going.
just mentioned one of the guys. You just mentioned that your boy Justin Jefferson. And then you got to look at that boy,
Come on with it.
Ahmad Sauce Gardner. That's definitely the matchup that I was looking for.
If y'all been watching the show, you know how much this man, he love that dude Sauce. So of course he gonna mention that. Not to mention that he got some personal ties with the man. But that being said, that is gonna be a marquee matchup. I mean, we talking some on perhaps the early Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders type level.
Mm-hmm.
You basically got one of the best stand down corners in the game against one of the best receivers in the game. And I imagine they definitely will be on each other. Will Sauce will be on him
Absolutely.
most of the game. So I'm definitely curious to see how that plays out. But that being said, the X factor in that game should be one TJ Hawkins. Because if they are double teaming him and Sauce and all that, that should leave him open to get some good games. Not to mention Mr. Phelan. So I think they have enough weapons in Minnesota to overcome that and win that game.
They had them by 3-point favor.
I'm not mad at that.
I would go with that right now because that's one of them games. It could be a trap game as well. But in Minnesota, it's going to be.
Or is it in New York?
It's in Minnesota.
Okay, so weather might be a factor. I do believe it's supposed to rain here on Sunday. Of course, we in a dome. I'm not sure. Is Minnesota in the dome now? They might be. But anyway, that might be a factor.
All right, man. You got the Commanders, the surprising 7-5 Commanders, who've been on a Heineke high right now. They're playing the New York Giants in New York, and they have Washington by 2.5-point favor.
And I'm going with that. Y'all know I ain't trying to see Heineke get it in because we have personal reasons for that. But keep in mind, I do believe Young gets back in the Chase Young. I think he's coming back for this game.
We'll be back.
Yeah, the damn Commanders been looking pretty good, and I've been saying all year that I wasn't completely sold on the Giants, so I would not be surprised if the Commanders win that game.
Definitely wouldn't be surprised neither. I definitely have them in this one, honestly. But you know why I definitely really pushing for them guys now because my man Brian Robinson over there, man, and he's been making a lot of noise. Titans and Eagles. Man, they got some stronger games this week.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough.
And they in Philly. Let me mention that first. They in Philly.
That's definitely helpful. You kind of got to go with them in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, keep in mind, if you based it on Monday night's game, I definitely would go with the Eagles because Jalen Hurts is looking every bit of MVP like in that game. But that being said, they definitely will key in on him running in particular, and they have to deal with King Henry on the other end.
Yeah, that's a scary one, man.
Game that I actually would like to see the Titans throw Willis in on a few plays just to kind of add some confusion to the mix. Perhaps have him do a little wildcat, perhaps.
I would definitely like to see them do something like that to kind of get them off their toes. My interest is right now is the Eagles defense versus Derrick Henry, man. How they gonna stop and maintain that guy, man? Because that dude, he can work.
I don't think you control King Henry at this point in the season, particularly in the second half of the game. But you do what you can to slow him down. And keep in mind, one of those key acquisitions that the Eagles got, he definitely is going to have some say-so in that. That would be one in Ndamukong Suh. I definitely see them meeting up a few times up there because that's going to be grown man on grown-ass man.
Hey, you my boy and all, man. I'm about to give you an early Christmas present. I'm about to skip this Broncos, Ravens, Browns, Texans, and Seattle Seahawks and Rams because I really don't care. Those are some bad.
I don't care. And I only care because if you are betting and you're trying to get your bet on, them the games you bet on. Go big on KC. Go big on Texas. Because remember, the only reason why I care about that game is because we got Deshaun coming back this week for Cleveland.
Yeah. And I want to see that one. I want to see the revenge game, man. I think they don't like the way he left, but at the same time, it ain't gonna be nothing they can do about it because they're not a great team up there in Texas.
At all.
I think Deshaun is gonna whoop those boys.
I think this is the week that Texans definitely solidify the number one pick.
All right, let's get into some of these good games, man. The Dolphins and 49ers. That's going to be a really good one.
That is the matchup I want to see this week. That game I got as a pick'em because I think it could go either way. You got two teams full of offensive weapons, full of defensive weapons. I do believe that game is in Miami, is it not?
There in San Francisco.
Oh,
hell, it ain't really
better. Keep in mind that it's actually warm out there in California these last few days because they got the Santa Ana winds and whatnot. But yeah, I think it boils down to how well Miami's offensive line can control Bosa and those boys. Because if you give to enough time to throw to them speedsters he's got on the squad, it's gonna be over real quick.
And that's good that Armstead is back too, man. That's just perfect timing for him to be back in this battle right here.
At the right time. Now keep in mind, McCaffrey's a little banged up this week, but I don't think it matters. They got so many weapons on that squad. I don't think they need him to beat Miami.
Let's hit this Super Bowl. Almost could have been a Super Bowl for any of the teams. It was like a flip of the coin, but at the same time, I think this more of a revenge game right now for Mr. Patrick Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs, they actually flexed this game too, and they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, and they only have Kansas City up by 2 points. What are your thoughts on that, E?
Cincinnati has won 5 out of the last 6. They definitely looking on good on offense without Jamar Chase, no less. That being said, they need him for this game because, I still say at this point in the season, Mahomes still just testing what he can do with this offense. It seems like every week they add a little extra wrinkle or two to the thing. And when they get into the red zone, they have so many kind of crazy trick plays and whatever they don't got, Mahomes seems to just make up on the fly. You never know what that dude gonna do once they get around the 10. He might try to run it in. He might throw it behind his back like magic. He might submarine side on that boy. He might throw it back to Kelsey. Kelsey might throw it back to him. They have so many things they do with that offense, particularly in the red zone. They're a hard team to figure out. They'd be a harder team to beat. So depending on how they get the points, that's going to be the key. If they find themselves in the red zone a lot, Cincinnati does not have a chance. You basically can use that good running game that you got with Cincinnati lately with Mixon and P. Ryan and kind of slow them down a little bit, y'all might have a shot at this thing.
Yeah, because that's a good thing too. That's crazy you mentioned that because now P. Ryan had looked pretty good in those few games he was in. I think they're gonna keep him around, but then they're gonna still pull in my boy too, Joe Mixon. They're gonna probably sprinkle him in on some plays and not gonna give him too much of a heavy load. But there's some really good games that's coming on this week.
And don't forget about
and I was definitely interested in seeing some of these matchups.
Don't forget about Panchero for the Chiefs. He's
What'd you say?
running back too out of Rutgers. I really like how
that dude, man. He took over even before Clyde Edwards-Helaire got hurt. He was starting to get more reps, man. I think he like a 6th-round pick too, Pacheco. And he just, man, he been out working Edwards. 7th round.
Yeah, out of Rutgers.
And he been out playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know how I felt about the whole situation. I was telling you for the longest to this day. I was surprised that Kansas City didn't get DeAndre Swift at the time because he landed right in their lap. And at the time, I thought he was the best running back in the actual draft. So I was definitely surprised with the Clyde Edwards-Helaire hookup. But it's starting to seem like that didn't pan out. We can't really say yet.
You know why Swift fell as far as he did? Even back at Georgia, he had injury issues that still haunt him to this day.
So, yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen now, man, that he's going to be the lead back. But, I think that this year it made your boy that much better too, Patrick Mahomes, because he's not focused on trying to throw the ball to Tyreek Hill all the time. He got other plethora of weapons, and at the same time, his main weapon is still there with him, and that's Travis Kelsey because he's a matchup nightmare for anyone. To be
Absolutely.
at that type of speed, it still doesn't matter who he's playing around because I mean, hopefully Juju will be back. That's a guy who have a lot of injury issues. That's why I think he only had that 1 year deal. But it's going to be a lot of good receivers in free agency too. So, yeah, man. But what Patrick does with what he have, man, I think that's awesome. And then the defense is better from the draft. And I just feel like right now they're not trying to focus on putting so much money on certain people, and they just focus on doing what they can do with the draft and the players they have because they're going to try to basically put these guys around Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, and that's how they're going to defense. They can just build on that as well from these young rookies that they have, like McDuffie, and they run. I
That
mean,
being
and they
said,
defensive end.
I still wouldn't mind seeing OBJ on that squad because, as you know, he is making the rounds this week and next week, and hopefully by this time next week he'll be made a decision. Because, quite frankly, I'm tired of how this is played out. He should have been
Man,
made a decision.
that's why I wasn't even mentioning it. Ian. I'm so tired of hearing about this dude.
Bottom line, OBJ, is you going to Dallas or no? That's what it boiled down to.
Yep,
Is you
that's what
going with
basically
Jerry?
it looks like right now. Unless somebody come in and woo him, man, to the point where he won't refuse. But I definitely feel like that's the team he's going to.
Bottom line, he ends up one of them two places: Chiefs, Dallas.
Well, that's all I had on my plate today, E man. Definitely glad to kick it with you a little bit on sports and do the show. Anything else you have?
Well, yeah, I do have to address a couple things. As you guys know, we are winding down the Nighthawk Network episodes known as "Get Off This Lawn." I will officially now tell you there will be two episodes we are doing. The next episode you will see will be on Sunday, December 11th. That will be Get Off This Lawn, the final mode, where we'll basically talk about just an overview of everything we talked about on the show for the last couple of years, give you a better understanding of where I plan on going next in terms of my part in the network, me personally. And then also we will do the tribute show on the 1 year anniversary of the great Helena hologram. That will be on December 13th, somewhere around about 7:30, 8 o'clock. For those of you in the Nighthawk Network, that's part of our broadcasting crew. If you have any interest in being a part of that show or want to do anything to help in regards to that, please hit me up on our messenger. Y'all know how to get in touch with me. I would like to see at least a few of you. I think he will join me for that show, and hopefully I get a couple of you other
Absolutely.
people to come along so we can all pay tribute to the person that basically made the Nighthawk Network a good part of what it was. One Derek Smith, also known as the Lane Hologram. So those are the two shows I'm doing for that. After our show, Game Time Audible on the 20th, we'll be taking a little hiatus for the holidays. And we will be back in January with more Game Time Audible, just in time for the college playoffs and stuff to jump off. So looking forward to that. That being said, yeah, pretty much. Oh no, one last thing, Hugh. Unfortunately, there was an anniversary that we had to acknowledge today here in Michigan. This was the 1 year anniversary of the Oxford High School shooting, where four young people lost their lives at the hands of a deranged young man full of mental disturbance. It's unfortunate that that trial still has yet to go off. We already know that the young man has pled guilty to all charges, but we still await the sentencing. And now it does appear there's a possibility that the parents may not go to trial at all, which would be a very, very bad thing. But I definitely want to send shout outs to prayers to not only the parents of those young people that lost their lives, but the parents that still have to deal with the children who did get shot, and several of those kids still go to that high school, unfortunately. I think they did the right thing by closing Oxford High School today. I think that would have been a tough day for those children to deal with. From what I can see, there's still issues at that school. I don't know if they to the extent that they were that day, but they're still having some problems, and we're just gonna keep them in our prayers and hope that they start to find some peace and solemn in this thing. You got anything to say on that, Hugh?
Man, yeah, that was a lot you hit me with, man. Yeah, definitely. It's sad to even think about that right now too, and to have the whole year after, and this, that's gonna hurt that school, and it's gonna damage a lot of people for life, man. So yeah, keep thoughts and prayers for them, man. Hopefully, they holidays can be a little easier, man, because I know and we talked about that before. I wouldn't go to that school. I don't even want my kid to be in the school after that because it left a stain over there in Oxford High School. So yeah, all I can do is just give my thoughts and prayers for the people who lost their loved ones. Man, you should never want to have to take your kid to school, or when you take your kids to school and you come back to try to pick them up, thinking everything's normal, and find out that you've lost your son or your daughter. Man, that's like the saddest thing you can ever imagine. So yeah, prayers for the people who got shot and wounded, and the people who basically stood up and tried to help the people who were hurt as well. But just praying that the people who still here, man, just have a blessed holiday
Right.
and try to get through it the best way possible.
Absolutely. So that being said, that's all I got here. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. Again, we will be back next Wednesday with Game Time Audible, where we'll talk more sports. We're gonna concentrate a little bit more on that college basketball for you guys. I know I plan on doing kind of a who to watch or what to watch in terms of the teams as we start to get into the meat of the college basketball season, so you guys kind of have an idea of who to look out for and all that good stuff. So until then, my friend, thanks as always, Hugh, for doing what you do in all things, not just the show, my friend. You know that I appreciate you very much.
Yep, absolutely. Highly appreciate it.
And that being said, we about to be out. So y'all know how we do it. We're throwing the fingers up like this here. And it's out.
Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network.